What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP, and this is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everyone.
And welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros podcast. Josh,
No.
we've averted a disaster today.
Yeah.
Or actually a couple days ago, maybe Friday midnight, we avoided a disaster. Honestly, a really bad disaster. We talked about before that, you know, the writer strike that's happening, right? That a lot of people are starting to back them up. A lot of actors came out citing a petition saying that they're willing to strike if these demands aren't met by a certain goal, which the goal we had put down was June 30th, which was on Friday at midnight. And it just sounds like a scary clock, right? So shit was getting closer, but crisis was averted because of a temporary truce.
Temporary.
Not
temporary.
So the
coffee is hot.
Yeah, coffee is hot right now. So because it was seemingly going to expire on Friday at midnight, they wound up meeting in the chamber that they usually do, all the CEO higher-ups that are refusing to meet the demands, and said, you know what, we can avoid this disaster just a little bit longer, and basically came out with this statement saying that the parties will continue to negotiate under a mutually agreed upon media blackout. This is a huge deal right now for Hollywood, with, again, far-reaching implications. If it were to happen, it would mark the first Screen Actors Guild strike since 2000. And obviously we talked about this in one of our older episodes. I guess the last time that the writers and actors and directors were all united in one front was back in 1960s.
Yeah.
So we haven't gotten to that point where we're going to be repeating the old shit. But, I mean, they wound up making a deal and basically pushed it all the way back to July 12th, midnight, July 12th. So gave themselves about 12 days to negotiate something, to figure something out, to make sure that the actors don't go on strike along with the writers.
Oh, man. That is...
They're shaking.
They are very... Yeah. So, does that mean we can start calling it now that the CEOs are finally cracking, like we were saying? Is it time to call it?
I don't think they're cracking. I think they're buying time. I don't think that... And I'm trying to wrap my head around it while I was reading this article and while I was thinking, like, why is this taking forever, right? So, back in the day, we talked about this before in an old podcast. Back in the day, I think the first one, the problem was the whole releasing to home, right? So, at first, theaters were just making money off theaters, and then they were making money on home releases, and they were like, well, where's our cut of the pie?
Yeah.
Wound up getting into a writer's strike because of that. Moved on to the early 2000s where it came not VHSs, but DVDs. And that's what became the big striking point there. So now, the big striking point now on a different distribution route is streaming, right? But apparently companies say that they don't make any money on streaming. So why is it that they're fighting so hard? Obviously to save money because they're not making money on streaming, like you say.
Like they say.
So why not get rid of streaming altogether and just revert back to the old ways? If that makes sense. Just have DVDs, theaters, stuff like that. Get rid of streaming. Maybe just have streaming for movies that are purely old, maybe. You know what I mean? They've already come out. They've been out for over 6 months or whatever. Boom, Disney Plus. You know what I mean? Not, oh, let's go ahead and, if the movie doesn't do good, put it on streaming a month later. Shout out The Flash. So, I mean, obviously we know the big major point is streaming. That is why all these negotiations are breaking down.
Streaming and AI.
Well, okay, maybe that's why it's a little bit harder because it's a double-edged sword, right?
They can't just... Because now, not only are you participating in something that they want to use as a tool, but now when something goes to streaming that uses AI, how does that weigh in? You know what I mean?
Yeah, how does somebody get paid?
Exactly. And I don't know if I believe that that things don't make money off streaming. I don't know if that's how that works. Because other than that, because think about it, they make a big deal when a movie on Netflix is #1 for weeks. You know what I mean? It would make sense. It would make more sense that this movie is doing really big, making big numbers on Netflix or whatever. That it's always been #1, not just it being good. You know what I mean? You know, I would imagine they do make some kind of money. There's no way they have to have a return.
Yeah, and there's I'm googling it right now. There is a big gap on how like money works with streaming, because we know with music, I believe it's every 5 listens. It's like, I think on Spotify they said it's like 10 cents or something like that. Every 5 or every 2 listens or something like that. It's like 10 cents, 15 cents.
Eminem, I think, has said that they don't make money off streaming like that.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to think how many times does somebody need to watch a movie for it to basically count? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then at that point, how much does it accumulate? Obviously, not as little as a song. Is it like, you know, a ticket usually costs, at this point, it usually costs like what? Before matinee, maybe like $8. After matinee, maybe like 12, 13, right? And then for streaming, how like we're paying, or you're watching this movie, 4 people are watching this one movie that they're probably not going to watch on other streaming sites, you know what I mean? Or they might rewatch it if it's really good. They might not, you know, if it's really bad. And so I guess that's just a question. How many views does a movie need to get in order for it to make a profit? And then on top of that, how much profit is it making? And I don't think that's something that, honestly, any company has been straightforward with saying, right?
I would imagine, because a movie needs return. A movie needs to make something back. Otherwise, how are you paying for these other movies? Like, how are you paying for actors to come back? They're not just doing pro bono work, I would imagine. Like, where's the money coming from? You're telling me every time we pay like $20, that's going to an actor? I don't believe that.
No, a portion is. If it's in a movie theater, a portion is going to the movie theater, but a high percentage is going back to the studio.
Snacks and stuff is for movie theater sake.
Yeah,
ticket commission is for the actual like movie, I would imagine.
Well, they get a piece of the pie with a movie ticket. You know what I mean? I think out of like, say you spend $10 on the ticket, I think like $1.50 or maybe like $2 goes to the actual theater, and then the rest goes to the studio. You know what I'm saying? And then they make the rest of their bread on concessions, and that's why you're charged like $8 for a fucking hot dog. I'm still mad to this day. Can't even get nachos under $10 anymore. So it's like they're not meeting this common ground, and they think 12 days is gonna make that gap. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, I mean, we're already seeing Hollywood starting to kind of go down on its knees because of the fact that we're not getting a lot of shows. A lot of productions are starting to halt. You know what I mean? It's getting pretty bad out there. And if the actors go on strike, forget about it. They ain't gonna be no movies. No TV shows, no movies. I wonder if like Gordon Ramsay would be part of that, and like all the people that do like reality TV shows.
Well, they're not actors.
They're no, that's true.
They're just like,
they wouldn't be part of the union, right?
No, I don't think so. They're not actors. They're quote unquote professionals, producing shows that of their craft or whatever. Like, how do you like? What's his name? Guy Fieri. You know, he goes around eating food and stuff. Like, he's supposed to be an expert on food, quote unquote. Yeah. I don't think he'd be an actor. He's reviewing food for TV.
That's true too.
Like, the cooking channel should be safe.
The cooking channel. We better get used to cooking shows and not The Bear, right?
No.
So the strike is getting to that point. Obviously, we're hoping that it doesn't get to that point. So this is what I have to say is just hopefully CEOs get it through their heads. Like, at the same time too, we don't know all the analytics, right? We don't know all that behind the scenes. We assume. We assume
until hard numbers come out. We don't know
exactly. And I do my research with like articles and trying to figure out how the money's connected and stuff like that. And at this point, I'm thinking the Illuminati. Just kidding.
Well, I don't fucking know where this fucking triangles start popping up.
Right.
Man, no, ain't no way.
It's fine. Actors get to work for 12 more days, or at the time of recording, maybe a little bit less than 12 more days. So we'll have to wait and see what turns out with that one. But one Hollywood actor who is irritated with the laziness of fan castings is Bryan Cranston. Talking to the Happy Sad Confused podcast, basically said that he's tired of the lazy fan casting of him as Lex Luthor and as Jim Gordon as well. Apparently that it lacks creativity. Like everybody says on Twitter, just because somebody's bald doesn't make him a good Lex Luthor, right?
Yeah.
But I have a clip right here of him talking about it, and we'll just check it out.
Was it all just the laziness of fan casting that they either saw this great mustache or the bald head back in the Heisenberg days that you were always fan casted as Lex Luthor or Jim Gordon? Was there ever any real conversations about playing those live action characters?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I did Jim Gordon
Did a voice.
in
Yeah.
the animated Batman thing.
Yeah, okay.
And that was fun.
But they wasted the mustache. I mean, you have the
I
mustache.
think I think you're right. I think it was like lazy casting.
Yeah.
There should be at like lazycasting.com. And I was like,
Probably
what?
is.
It's because I had a bald head. Lex Luthor. It's like, come on. Let's think about this a little bit.
Yeah.
He has a point. There is some very lazy castings. I couldn't see him as Lex Luthor, and I watched Breaking Bad. I don't think he could have done it. You know what I mean? And then, he did voice James Gordon, but until he mentioned it just now, I wouldn't have pictured him there either.
Yeah.
If I'm being for real, I pictured J.K. Simmons way before I pictured him.
J.K. Simmons? J.K. Simmons. As Jim Gordon?
Yeah, as Gordon.
I could probably. I really liked J.K. Simmons. It sucks that we're not going to see more of him. I think we only seen him, in the Justice League movie?
Yeah.
We were going to see him in that Batgirl movie, but,
Son of a bitch.
it happens. There is a bunch of, lazy fan castings that I always see, too, and I'm just like, why? Like, what was the purpose of that? You know what I mean? Like, hearing, right now, take James Gunn's, casting list right now, like the Skarsgård brothers, like that is crazy casting. Like obviously they're not bald, but I don't know if that's like one of the tests too. Like, do you look good bald? But you know what I mean. I know for a fact like we need to have the chops to act this out first. Like Jesse Eisenberg, regardless of what everybody says, I understand. He's not everybody's Lex Luthor. It's not his cup of tea or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you would have never thought that would have been a good Lex Luthor.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I personally think he did a good job,
Mm-hmm.
and then like the transformation from when he lost his hair and becoming that maniacal man that we see at the end of Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's crazy, and I think that's like out of the box casting.
Exactly.
But it is what it is.
Things like that should be like very considered, like not just looking the part but doing the part, and some people don't consider that. There's a lot of lazy castings.
I'll say Michael Rosenbaum too, and then I think he was a good Lex Luthor in Smallville as well, and I think also too, what's his face? What's his name? The dude that played him in Superman Returns.
Kevin Spacey.
I don't condone what he's done, or innocent to proven guilty.
Play a good
but
villain.
he can play a good villain in a movie. So
he can play a good Lex Luthor.
Very good. And speaking of like Breaking Bad and all that stuff, I know like we were talking about. I know you were telling me before like I gotta watch it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And reading this article and everything too, I was thinking about it and I was like, I can't see Bryan. I think that's the issue, is that I can't see Bryan Cranston as anything else besides Malcolm's dad.
That's fucked
and
up.
I think that's honestly why, because like I don't see him in any other movies.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he's been in other movies. I think when I seen him in because I watched that movie with James Franco and him as the father,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of reminded me of Hal, but at the same time not so much. And ever since then I haven't been able to watch the movie. I thought he was funny in it, but I haven't been able to rewatch the movie.
Nah,
and I think
man.
that's why I can't see him in Breaking Bad, because I just see him as Hal.
Nah, man.
He's forever engraved him. And I was like, we honestly, me and Julie, we watch like we rewatch Malcolm in the Middle like quite often. I like to, once it's over, I probably take like a break. I probably go like to another comfort show like
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine or whatever I feel like watching that isn't new.
Yeah.
And then I jump back to Malcolm in the Middle when I'm sleeping and stuff like that, when I'm like going to bed and shit like that. So I don't know. It's just I can't see him as anything else.
That's crazy.
It's hard to see him as anything else.
I'm telling you, the show is too good. He has range.
Do you have an actor who you can't see as anybody else? Like, you just see him in this role and this is him? Like, if you see him in anything else. I know a lot of, like, contenders or whatever, a lot of people say, like, Deadpool or whatever, but I'm not talking about, like, something like that. Something that you've seen him in one role and you go, man, this is the perfect role for this man. Like, this is who he was.
I
No?
don't think so.
You don't think you have anybody like
No,
that?
I don't think so.
Not off top?
I'd have to go into more in depth, but I don't off the top of my head now.
Grant Gustin? You wouldn't have, like, would you be able to see him in a different role besides the Flash?
Oh, well, I guess not him though. I guess that would be one of them, because he's been the Flash for so long.
Another one too. Well, actually, not really. I think he does a really good job. I started watching. I don't know. Did you pay your Netflix?
I don't know. No. I gotta move from the checking to the savings, and it takes 7 business days. I don't. You know how this works.
Oh, he got the he got the banking skills from Kevin Hart. Look at this guy. So, whenever you get to that, I started watching the one where Charlie Cox was in that the espionage one.
Oh yeah.
I started watching that one, and at first I was like, oh, like it just seems like Daredevil without the mask or whatever. But then I was like, oh no, like he actually does different. I was about to say him, but no, he actually does a good job in like the second episode. I gotta finish watching it whenever somebody pays the damn bill.
Leave me alone.
I like to know I never let Hulu lapse. And he uses my Hulu.
Shut up. But no, there's a lot of really lazy fan castings, but there's also some really great ones. Some that really you would be like, I'm not sure, but if they give him a chance, I want to see what he can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then on top of that too, like, who knows? Could have been a lazy fan casting or whatever, but if he has range enough to go from Hal to Breaking Bad and act like that, and then go back to like I said, I haven't seen him. I only seen him in clips in Breaking Bad. I haven't really seen the whole thing, and then go back to playing that father or whatever, and then I seen him in Total Recall, which that one it was really hard to picture him in a different role as like that kind of role. So I really like the movie, and that's why I can kind of get past it. But like he has range, so who knows if like you can cast Bryan Cranston and he makes it his own. You know what I mean? Like there's some times where like, let's take James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. Those were obscure characters that nobody knew about. Now, the only way you know Guardians of the Galaxy is what Chris Pratt brought to the table. You know what I mean? What Zoe Saldana brought to the table. I mean, even the video game that they made that was supposed to be completely different from the MCU, it hits like the movie that was in the MCU. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. But I don't think that's the thing, though. That's not what he's saying. He's... Like, I'm sure whatever role they would give him, he'd nail. It's the fact that people couldn't come up with anything more creative than him because he's bald.
They're just like, oh, shiny head.
Legs.
Reptile skin. Lizard.
They're like
Zuckerberg. They're like, oh, he's perfect.
Mark Zuckerberg was the only thing that came to mind because you said lizard. I was like, be the perfect lizard. Yeah, no. Very... Very interesting topic. I know he's come out and said this quite often.
What is that? You remember Ben 10? What is that one with the white monster with the bubbles all over his back and everything and turns into a ball? Remember that?
Oh, Cannonball.
Yeah. Elon Musk reminds me of him.
What the fuck?
Is that weird? But yeah. So lazy casting, but one casting that I thought was unique and was honestly not lazy at all was Idris Elba being like propped up as the next James Bond. Yeah. Now I don't know if you remember, but after the last movie that happened with Sammy or what's his name? What's the dude's name? Daniel Craig, his last outing as the infamous 007. Idris Elba has came out multiple times, when names were being thrown out there. Henry Cavill was being thrown out there. Aaron Taylor Johnson was like, we heard last, was like in the front running for James Bond. Idris Elba was one of those who went in there and, honestly, I think he has a point with what he was saying because for some reason his was highlighted the most. I know we heard Aaron Taylor Johnson had submitted a tape and stuff like that. Like, we heard little things, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be good." But then when it came down to Idris Elba, he remembers, and I also remember, and he basically says on the Smart List podcast when he was promoting his new movie Hijacked, saying that the truth is, I was super complimented for a long time about this. I was like, this is crazy. We're all actors and understand that role. It's one of those covenant roles. Being asked to be James Bond was like, okay, you've sort of reached the pinnacle. That's one of those things the whole world has voted. He goes on and continues to say, essentially, it's a huge compliment that every corner of the world, except for some corners, which we will not talk about, were really happy about the idea that I could be considered. Those that weren't happy about the idea made the whole thing disgusting and off-putting because it became about race. It became about nonsense, and I got burnt of it. He goes on to say that it's not his goal of his career, but it would have been nice to have played him. Yeah. And I thought it would have been perfect casting with this one. Different for sure. James Bond is one of those like mantles for me. Like, anybody can be James Bond kind of thing. And
well, not anybody. To be fair,
not a crippled man.
Well, no, that's not. Oh, that's not where I was going with that.
Okay,
I'm saying like not.
I'm just saying like obviously some man in a wheelchair can't play James Bond.
I'm not gonna pursue those jokes because I don't want to get canceled. But not everyone can be James Bond. That's what I'm saying. There's some actors where you would just see him and be like, that's not a good look.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson was one of those for me. I don't even give a fuck. Say what you want. He was one of those that I was like,
he was gonna be. He probably would have done something great.
I'd say Henry Cavill was lazy casting.
That's fair. People saw him in Mission Impossible and were like, make him.
Yeah, I found that one to be very lazy. Fair. Even though I love the dude. Even though we actually, I don't know if I love the dude. We gotta wait because apparently there's rumors on Twitter saying that.
Shut up. But spoilers. But yeah, no, not everyone can be James Bond, but honestly, Idris Elba probably would have killed that shit.
I think so too. Honestly, and even seeing him like, I think one role that really cemented it for me, and it's gonna sound like fucking crazy, but like Hobbs and Shaw. I really liked him as like that British intelligence kind of guy, and like that gone rogue type shit. So imagine if he played that same British intelligence, just like, you know, the same way Bond did. Like, I feel like he would have drew in
that would have been sick. It's very weird that race and like things like that really turns off a fan base, because, you know, it shouldn't be about that at that point. It should be about, can he deliver a great James Bond?
I swear, because I used to read comments or whatever, because it would be like, and he even talks about it too. I think he talked about it on a podcast like last year or something, where like people would be like, oh, what, he's gonna be James Bond, or he's saying that because he would just come out and be like, oh yeah, I'd like to play that character. They would ask him, and people would be like, oh, he thinks he got it or whatever. Oh, you know, and then in the comments, oh, James Bond isn't black, whatever, blah blah blah. There hasn't been a black James Bond yet, but doesn't mean that he can't be. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that that's not possible. It would be very infuriating for me too, like, to be like, oh, you have what it takes, but you're black, you can't do it. You know what I mean? That shit's fucking ridiculous and stupid. Like, there's way better actors. We've seen people like portray, like, even the whole fiasco with the Justice League with Ray Fisher, you know, them saying like he couldn't act, so they cut him for most of the movie. Turns out he was the one of the better actors of the movie. You know what I mean? So it sucks that still plays a role within Hollywood and with like people's decisions nowadays. That shit is crazy. Yeah. 2023.
It doesn't make any sense. And the fact that it turned him off completely is just another thing, because you're just like, well, fuck, we missed out on a great casting potentially.
But what if like they handed it to him and he was just like, you know what? I don't think the world's
too much
ready.
trouble.
Yeah,
you know, pick someone else. Like that's fucking unfortunate to hear.
Meanwhile, we're all okay with him playing something similarly close to it, but you put James Bond's name on him, and it's like,
James Bond is in this and that, and I'm like, well, okay, he's also not real. No, like,
he's a made-up fictional character, and you know, as high praises as it is. I mean, come on, man. They made a James Bond called Octopussy. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear anything about no black man playing James Bond when some white man played James Bond in a movie called Octopussy. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear nothing about that. That's crazy. Did you know about that? No, it's an actual James Bond movie. Look that shit up. It's crazy. Moving on though. Speaking of Henry Cavill as well, we did just record an episode where we talked about, you know, the future of DC, what we think, and all that stuff. That's coming out this Saturday. So if you guys are planning to check that out, have the notifications on because it will be coming out in the future. But a lot of gripes have happened over this weekend, all because of a comment that our new Superman actor, David Cornsweet, made about 4 years ago, back in 2019. So, one highlight about this story, hearing that David Cornsweet wound up getting Superman, is that apparently it's been his wet dream for a while. And I say that very harshly, but it's not in a harsh way. It's good. I like seeing people's dreams come true. It's a nice, it's nice when you wish you could be that, you know what I mean? And then eventually you get to that point. And then now you just feel so relieved. You feel better, stuff like that. So a comment that a lot of people are bringing to light, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's something that is getting the conversation sparked. And he said this: "It came to my attention before the internet got a hold of me, but my pie-in-the-sky ambition is definitely to play Superman. I would love to see somebody to do an upbeat throwback take on Superman. I love the Henry Cavill dark and gritty take, but I would love to see the next one very bright and optimistic." This was back from an interview back in 2019. Now, so the good part, a lot of people are praising it to be like, oh, yeah, he was born to be Superman. Look, he really wanted it. Now, oh, so happy for him. He's great. The bad side comes from what people like to call the dark side of Twitter, which is the Snyderverse fans who got a hold of these comments and basically ran with it saying, dark and gritty take? What are you talking about? It wasn't dark and gritty. How can we even say that this is our new Superman when he can't even respect those from the past and whatever, blah, 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 blah. I have comments for that, but I'm going to allow you to say your piece. Which side of the aisle do you stand on? And do you think that anybody has a right side on this topic?
Well, I don't think there's a right or wrong side about this. It's what he said, addressing a question. If I had to pick my own side, though, no, I don't think, I don't think he understood the assignment. I gotta be real. He was kind of, I don't know what it is, but that's kind of what everyone mistakes it for, and that's just not the case at all. So I don't agree with him on that level. But again, it's his opinion, so I guess it shouldn't really matter. But people will run with that shit anyway.
Well, it shouldn't matter. But, well, you think it shouldn't matter. But I think it should matter. I think it should matter because he is the new Superman. And if you're going to be paying homage to the old Superman, I think that you should be playing, or at least being a little bit respectful. Now, now, if he would have said this today, it would have been different. Because you would have known all the gripes and everything with the internet and stuff like that. You would have known that this was a no-no thing to say a long time, maybe like a year ago or maybe back in 2020. But this was in 2019. So, I mean, him speaking about it because he wanted that ambition, and his take on these movies were that they were dark and gritty. Yeah. So I will say that there is a right side. I think praising him for becoming the new Superman and finally getting where he wanted to be. Like I said, I'm always praising those who, make it. Because it's great. It's a good feeling. And I think everybody who is trying to, even though, unless I have a personal, thing against that, then I'll be like, hey, you know what? Whoa, I don't think you should have done that. You know what I mean? And I guess where my personal gripe comes in with this one is just the whole, obviously playing the dark and gritty take. Obviously, we have different opinions on it. We talked about this, so I don't want to go too much in detail. It's going to be on the new episode that's coming out this Saturday. #self-plug. Go check that out. Hit the notification bell whenever that episode drops. I think one thing that I took out of this was the very bright and optimistic on the next one, and the whole old school taking it back. kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because obviously we're getting a reboot in 2025. If this is who he wanted, an old school upbeat, then it worries me that we're not moving into the future. We're pulling back to the past again. And maybe we can find a certain area or maybe a sweet spot where, like, that'll make the movie thrive in today's climate.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that I can go back and watch the Christopher Reeve Superman if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get that same feeling from, like, Man of Steel. And maybe that's because, you know, I grew up in this time. You know what I mean? And it's not just because Zack Snyder made it or whatever, blah, 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 blah. All that aside, it was more because it was modern. It was a different take on you know, Superman. What I thought Superman would be capable of, you know, destruction, stuff like that. You know what I mean? We understood what, obviously, that movie was going for.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to see us revert back. That's my thing. I just don't want us to go all the way back to the beginning where, you know, back to the drawing board. They already did it with Superman Returns. It didn't work out. So are we getting this Superman again? Are they going to really try to backtrack and try to, you know, find that sweet spot between nostalgia and modern? I don't know, man. What are you making out of that one?
I really, not to sound a type of way, but I think we need this take to happen. A very modern and optimistic kind. Just to see that it doesn't work.
Okay, so you think that this movie's doomed to fail?
That's what I think.
Okay.
And I think we kind of need that to cement the idea that not everyone wants to see this. If it takes off and it happens and this movie survives, then shit, I'm fine being wrong. But like you said, no one liked Superman Returns. People barely liked the movies after the first Christopher Reeves one.
Well, I don't want to say no one liked Superman Returns. It's a special place in my heart.
Well, no, I mean, I know when that movie came out, we were young as hell, but by that time, if people really wanted to see it, they'd spend to see it.
Yeah. As a kid, I could remember that it was boring.
Exactly. So clearly it had rubbed people the wrong way, didn't make the money or whatever. Reboot happened. But I think this movie will either paint the picture that, yes, people want it, or it'll fail and people will realize this is not what we wanted. So I kind of need it to happen this way.
So let's just try to be a little bit optimistic here, right? And we'll just say, hopefully they find that sweet spot between nostalgia and modern. Do you think we're getting a whole different score? Because we have the iconic Superman.
So. I would fucking hope so.
We have the iconic Superman one. We have Hans Zimmer's Superman one. In my opinion, it's iconic, but, you know, depending on which side of the aisle you on, you know, people mix review. I don't know. Are we all on the same page? Are we all on the same page that Man of Steel's music is peak music?
I would like to think so.
I would hope so. I'm asking y'all out there. How do we feel about Hans Zimmer's Superman theme? I know Christopher Reeves is obviously a classic, but I never see anybody comment on Hans Zimmer's theme. So let us know. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know on our Instagram comments. Let us know because I'm genuinely curious about this one. But do you think that we'll be able to get another iconic score from Peter Safran and James Gunn's DC Studios?
I really hope so. I hope they aren't going to go lazy and try to
bring back the
old one or whatever. I hope they give it its fresh take because imagine that this movie comes out and it's the old one and I can already hear the things now. Oh, y'all couldn't come up with anything new, so you used the old one, and I'm like, this is Christopher Reeves music. Like, why are you disrespecting it? I can hear all that shit already. So hopefully they get something new.
So many landmines that this movie has to basically tiptoe around, right? It's very bad.
Yeah.
Wow. Hopefully James Gunn makes this movie and he doesn't hype it up as one of the best comic book movies ever and shit like that.
Of the year. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Came out after Across the Spider-Verse.
It stayed in theaters very tempo-wawy.
So good. So good they had to send it home after a month.
Damn, man. Hey, you know what? Honestly, I'll keep it a bug with you. The Flash is going to do good on streaming.
I don't think so.
100%. You want to know why? You're going to have the people that didn't go to the theaters to go watch it that were like, I'm going to wait for streaming to watch this movie. I don't know. Video on demand. I don't know how much money is probably going to do on that. I'm assuming due to buzz and everything like that, that it might pop out as a standout. Like, oh, let me see what All the Trouble was about. You know what I mean? I'm gonna check out the Flash movie because when it hits Netflix or when it hits Max, I'm gonna check it out because I want to see what All the Trouble was and what the movie came out of. The people that didn't want to go to the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly think it'll do good on streaming. And then you're gonna have those hate watches that people are like, oh, I fucking hate killing Namek, but I'm gonna watch it 15 times because I fucking hate it that much. It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
No,
I never understand that. Hate watching. That's so stupid. I'm so angry while I watch this movie. It's like, just don't put it
That's
on.
what I'm saying. Like, that's kind of how Velma season 2 happened. Fuck you guys for watching that shit. If you don't like something, don't watch it, because then things get canceled quite easily. Like, The Idol got canceled already.
Oh yeah, 5 episodes.
5 episodes in, and they were just like, this shit isn't giving us what we want. Can it? Like we heard it wasn't getting a second season 2, and then they were just like, nah, we're done here. They gave up so easily. So like, see what happens when you don't indulge in things that are ass. You tell the studio immediately that this shit is ass and no one wants to watch it.
But then you got people hate watching it.
Exactly. Like now that it's over, I'm gonna go watch it because I'm curious.
We literally hoodwinked Sony, man, with Morbius. We're like, this movie's ass, but obviously people went to go hate watch it and do memes and shit like that, and Sony was like, oh, people actually love this fucking movie. Put it back in theaters for a few more weeks, and nobody went to go watch it. Yeah. Damn, man. Fans is ruthless. Trolling is ruthless on the internet nowadays. If we can fucking hoodwink a whole studio.
Hoodwink a studio.
Bully
a studio into changing a whole character. Like, the fans could do wonders when we band together.
Yeah.
It really tells the studios
keep us separated, guys.
To fucking, like... you fuck around and I really lost my train of thought.
Yeah,
wow.
It's because alliances are always temporary. That's the problem.
Temporary.
Yeah. Moving on though, we are hearing good news and the ball is finally rolling, and couldn't be happier. Couldn't be fucking happier. And the reason why is because Tron 3 is finally moving forward now. And if you guys haven't heard the news, Jared Leto's going to be in it, depending on, he was the only name attached to it, but now the reason why I'm saying the ball is rolling, because we hear Evan Peters is going to be a part of this.
A goat.
Okay, very good. Ralph Boner. And then we got 2 more actresses coming in into the fold with Greta Lee and Jodie Turner-Smith coming into the picture. So we got 4 people tied into the movie. We don't know what the role is, but we got kind of like a little synopsis. Just a tiny one. And apparently that little spoiler that Jared Leto gave away a few years ago was a major spoiler, because not only did he let out the name of the 3rd movie, which sounds like it's going to be Tron Ares, he basically gave away some details. So like the detail says from different...
are they spoilers?
Are they spoilers? Supposed to be a synopsis for the movie.
Oh, okay.
So in a way, it's kind of... Obviously, it's not going to tell you everything, but it's going to give you a good hint of what the movie's going to be about. Okay, so the report from THR says the manifestation of a program that becomes sentient and crosses over into the human world. And that basically is, in the movie universe, his name was Ares. So that's basically, instead of us going into the game world, one of the computer sims is going to come out into the human world. And I'm assuming that a lot of people are assuming that Ares is going to be Jared Leto's character, and that we're not going to see Sam Flynn, the old character that came out in the 2012 version of Tron Legacy, and we're not going to see Olivia Wilde anymore. It sounds like Evan Peters might be the protagonist in this movie against... or maybe Jared Leto might be the protagonist, and Evan Peters is probably the one who's trying to keep the genie in the bottle type shit. So it's going to be interesting, but we're going to get into a new domain. And it kind of, you probably don't know, but there was an earlier script for this movie, and it was called Tron. What is that 3rd movie? The God of War Ascension? Basically that. It was called Tron 3 Ascension or something like that. ASC.
Ascension.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And it's basically what this movie was supposed to be about, but I think Sam was written into the script, and I don't know if maybe they couldn't get the actors back, Olivia Wilde back, anything like that, but
yeah,
it sounds like they're sticking to it just a little bit, but changing a few things.
that's fair. They wouldn't want to change a whole script, especially when they had one just kind of lying around, dusting it off, waiting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to know that this movie's finally rolling. I saw Evan Peters was attached to it, and I was like, that's a W.
Yeah, that's a big name.
It's a W in my book.
I mean, whatever you say about Leto, if you guys don't like his acting or whatever, I mean, hearing Evan Peters, we know he's gonna we're getting a performance out this man.
Yeah,
He played Dahmer for fuck's sake.
yeah, he did. Yeah, for I don't know why, but he did a really good Dahmer. Fucking
Psycho.
creepy as shit. He won an award for it, so I mean, can't be too mad. It was really good.
Yeah, I'm just more, like I said, I'm just more excited that this movie's finally getting off the ground. Back in when Tron Legacy came out, I said 2012, but I think it came out like in 2010 or 11. When that came out, it was met with mixed reviews. Obviously, people didn't vibe with Jeff Bridges' CGI for whatever reason. Obviously, back then it was probably like state of the art. Nowadays, it's probably like, oh, we got a little bit better nowadays. We got Luke in The Mandalorian now, right? So it was like a long time coming in. I heard back in 2015 that Jared Leto had gotten attached to it, and they were getting the ball rolling, and Olivia Wilde was coming back, and then 2018 things changed. Nothing really got boosted up.
Yeah.
Now here we are in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
finally getting actors attached. Jared Leto has been attached to this movie since, I kid you not, maybe like 2013, 14. So 10 years in the making, kind of like The Flash. Still is going to need a couple years to even get it filmed, put out, stuff like that until we see it. But finally getting the ball rolling with this movie. And if you guys don't know out there, like the process of a movie, this is what we mean by like development hell. Like this movie has literally have been in limbo for so long. They had a script, had things ready to go, a director, but because something didn't turn out with the previous movie, they basically scrub it all away. Either, I don't know if it's just like a put it in the back burner and forget about it kind of thing, or is it a like no, we got to give it some time to get people's bad taste out of some people's mouths.
I'd imagine it's a bit of both. But I think a lot of it is just inside the production. Director doesn't want to touch it. Oh, the script isn't too good. We got to rewrite it. Oh, now it's a CGI problem because the script demands this big action piece. We don't have the technology for that. Let's push it back, and then so on and so forth. But now we're at the age where a new Tron movie can really revive the IP and like deliver really good like CGI.
Yeah, if it's done right, like we're at that point. Like, and even then, like Tron, there's always movies that are like, in my opinion, that are ahead of its time. You know, like the prequel trilogy with Star Wars, that was always dissed forever, but those were like the first full ever CGI characters. You know what I mean? Actually rendered. Talking to other people, that was like the first time we ever seen that on screen. Tron, when the first one came out, that one was groundbreaking because they put light in a gray black and white movie. You know what I mean? Like they just completely contrast the colors and made it look different. Like there's always these groundbreaking movies, and it just sucks that when they're ahead of their time,
it scares people,
and then eventually they get that love later on, but it's kind of like, damn. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, that's another one, like crazy good movie. I think Lil Uzi Vert came out saying that was like his favorite movie of all time or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, can we really listen to Lil Uzi Vert? He put a diamond in the middle of his forehead, but still a great movie. I think it's like dope as shit that it finally, like, I watched it in theaters. I don't know if you watched it in theaters when it came out.
What?
I think you were too young. Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Yeah, no, I didn't get to see
Yeah,
it.
I watched it in theaters, and then, like, the box office completely tanked on that movie, and we didn't get a sequel, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But then, lo and behold, years later, streaming came out. It wound up coming out in streaming, and everybody loved it.
Now it's getting an anime, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, and all the original cast is coming back, and, I mean,
I can't wait for that.
Anime to me is just kind of like, I guess, but, I mean.
Nah, man, that movie did wonders adapting it and then making, like, the comic book is black and white like a manga would be, but it's a comic book. It's American made, and it's just that movie did its best to not just implement the comic books, but made it look like a video game. You know what I mean? The anime is gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
I know for sure.
Oh, so you think it's gonna go hard, hard in the paint?
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
trusting you.
The fights are gonna be fucking.
I'm trusting you, like I'm trusting you with the Bear season 2.
Don't get me started on that movie has rewritten my brain chemistry. Like
TV show.
I'm fucking cinema. Either way.
Yeah.
Cinema.
Peak. I'll get around to it, and we'll
Okay.
get around to doing a review.
Okay.
Josh has been dying to talk about this movie. I just
Mhm.
have not this show, and I just have not gotten around to it. I got to get around to it. I'm getting to it, but somebody who's finally getting around to talking about a major problem.
Fuck.
Old joke. So Jonathan Majors still in the news, and we're gonna talk about him in a second. But somebody who came out in support of Jonathan Majors on Friday, really speaks a testament to, you know, him, or maybe other people are right and he's dumb for even saying anything in the first place. But Anthony Mackie comes out and basically defends Jonathan Majors for his allegations. So his lawyers, basically, we talked about his lawyers saying that, you know, Jonathan Majors is being a victim of racial biases, gender bias, because, you know, he's obviously the aggressor because of the fact that he's a man or whatever.
Yeah.
During the arrest, he went to jail, but the woman didn't, because the lawyer says that the cops needed to make an arrest.
Yeah.
In those cases. So Anthony Mackie basically comes out and says that we're a country that was built on everyone is innocent until proven guilty. That's one of the staples of this country. Nothing has been proven about this dude. Nothing. So everyone is innocent until proven guilty. That's all I can say. It's crazy where we are as a society, but as a country, everyone is innocent until proven guilty.
There you go.
And so, I mean, you got anything?
That kind of, I mean, that for me, that kind of sums it all up.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of times that court of public opinion is a crazy, fickle bitch. Like, if you're bad in the eyes of the people, you're bad in the eyes of everybody.
Exactly.
And I feel like Jonathan Majors is a victim to that, and Johnny Depp was a victim to that as well. I think now we heard that Hyde is actually guilty, but at the time, before anything happened, he was accused. Kevin Spacey was accused. Now, like I said, now they're getting prosecuted, but at the time they were completely written off. So it's one of those things where people would want to be the first to jump on it and be like, yeah, no, we hate him, and just ruin everything before due process.
Yeah. That's why I'm kind of just like, well, that's why I'm still looking forward to Loki and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like until I hear a verdict, that's going to determine what I do with anything and consume anything he's in. But if he comes out innocent, I'm still a fan. Like, right now I'm on the fence, but like, that just determines on whether or not. I'm not going to start hating him because of something he allegedly did.
Well, yeah, it's like I said, innocent until proven guilty, like how Anthony Mackie says. But apparently, there's a politically correct way to say these things, because it rubbed a few actor. I don't know. It was very anonymous. Those that came out to speak about this. Apparently, it's some insiders, but somebody said after hearing Mackie's quote, they said he probably should have said something like, I don't know the full details or whether the allegations were true, so I don't think I should comment on this situation, one person suggested. Another person says there's definitely a lot of stuff we don't know about the situation. It's a bit nuts, but innocent until proven guilty only applies to the justice system and the legal process. And so on and so forth. Everybody's basically getting on Anthony Mackie's neck for not being politically correct, in my opinion. Because, to be honest, the only correct and factual way to say it is the way that Anthony Mackie said it. Now, that you could sugarcoat it and be like, oh, well, this is the facts that I know, so I can't really speak about this situation, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, to simplify that all down to the bottom.
He's a straightforward dude.
Yeah.
He's like the Harrison Ford of, you know what I mean? Like, he's straight to the point. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. In most of his interviews, he's very just straightforward. Like, what did he say about the action stars and whatnot, or the Marvel stars? There's no more. He's just straightforward. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, which is really fair. So for people to be like, oh, this is and that, and I'm like, well, I'm sure he could have, but he's not that kind of person.
Yeah.
If they wanted someone else's opinion, let that person say it how they want it. But no, they asked him, someone who's just a straight to the facts kind of guy.
Yeah. And like I said, at the end of everything, it all trickles down to that: innocent until proven guilty. No other way about it. I that's clear cut.
Mm-hmm.
There's like literally we can speculate and do all this stuff, but why add more fuel to the fire when we don't even know what's happening? You know what I mean? But
if he's guilty, throw the book at him, and if he's not, it's time. Like I want people apologizing to this man. Like that's my thing.
yeah, but I don't know. Everything's up in the water, and it sounds like Anthony Mackie probably spoke up just a smidgen too soon. So these comments came out the same day that a big win came in the Majors case. To be honest, because he was able to refute and prove that in court that his girlfriend at the time, the one that was in the car, was the one that was drunk and belligerent and scratched him and hit him first, and that he was going to be pressing charges on her. Nothing has came about yet, but that he's currently pursuing that as we speak. So he had that little hearing that I told you was supposed to happen on June 12th. An actual court date has been made finally, and on August 3rd, that's when everything will be presented to the DA. So, like I said, one of the complaints that Majors is putting out there was that she was drunk and belligerent and hysterical, and the cops did nothing. And they arrested him, though he was sober and sane, but because of the bruises and whatnot that was on her skin, he wound up getting arrested. And the NYPD believes that there is enough probable cause to arrest Jabari, but as of right now, they can't just go off of rumors, they say. Because they say the evidence that they have cannot completely connect, saying that Majors was not the abuser first.
Yeah.
That they could say, Jabari could say, well, I hit him after he hit me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's all rumors and speculation. So basically, it's being dismissed. It's kind of a win, but at the same time, it's kind of still a fight uphill. But they are making way for it. So he could be exonerated of this one. But as of right now, it's still up in the air. I mean, what do you think of this one?
This thing is just, it's a fucking mess, man.
Well, the defense team is also pressuring the DA's office, writing them this: Mr. Majors has been asking for justice as the victim here, and he deserves to have his assailant arrested and brought to court to face the charges against her. All along, the DA has been insistent that it won't give Mr. Majors special treatment because he is a high profile. Now that the NYPD, who has actually investigated Mrs. Jabari, is ready to arrest her, I certainly hope the DA will not delay prosecution of Ms. Jabari due to the high-profile nature of this case. That would be hypocritical, unfair, and unjust. We are grateful to the detectives of the NYPD and look forward to justice for Mr. Majors.
That's why it's crazy that it looks like there's enough evidence, but they won't do anything about it. But all it takes is her to complain and look bruised for them to arrest Majors. I think that's very weird to me.
I think at the time, like I said, I don't know if it's racial biases or anything like that. I'm only going by what is given to me. And at the time, her being drunk, her being, bruised, her probably crying hysterically, maybe at the time really pulled on the heartstrings of the cops and made them believe that it was her. And it's true. In those cases, domestic violence, somebody needs to go if there's injury. And if they can prove at the time that it was him, that was going to be a problem. Now, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, if you tattletale first, you feel like it's kind of hard to change somebody's mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why everybody says you got to go first. You got to make sure that you get it, bite it in the ass before somebody else goes and tries to spread a rumor. Because by the time that rumor starts, it's kind of hard to understand the truth. You get me? Because things are all over the place.
I guess that's fair. But I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. I know he is still trying to go to court in August, right?
August 3rd.
August 3rd. I don't know, man. I'm just waiting with anticipation because I want to know how this is all gonna end. And I know that sounds dramatic, but like I can't wait to see what happens. If I'm being for real,
Yeah. Well,
because he's fighting hard. It's really gonna be. I know how that sounded. Shut up. He's putting up a good fight. He's putting up a good fight. I just want to know if it's all gonna be for nothing or not.
it sounds like it because it sounds like it's 2 steps forward and 5 steps back, because right after this major, pun intended, win, we get word that Majors is now being accused by 2 former romantic partners on top of 40 other allegations coming from Majors' Yale University's drama school, saying that they expressed fear of career repercussions and personal retribution for Majors and his team if they were to have spoken up, saying that his treatment was really extreme abuse, physically and mentally, and that things had allegedly led him to him strangling an ex-girlfriend. And then a second girlfriend comes out saying that the relationship was emotional torture, saying that the relationship began romantic and gradually became more violent and controlling. The Times are corroborating the allegations. Majors' attorney denies the allegations, saying Jonathan Majors vehemently denies Rolling Stone's false allegations that he physically, verbally, and emotionally abused anyone, let alone any of his past romantic partners. Rolling Stone embarked on a mission to dig up dirt on Jonathan Majors in order to falsely paint him as a violent and abusive black man. Facts be damned. Goes on and says that it's entirely hearsay, and this whole all these allegations are seriously flawed. Like I said, 2 steps forward, maybe 10 steps back.
That's
40 individuals plus 2 ex-relationships.
No fucking way, dude. There's no fucking way. That has to be dismissed. There's no way. That's a lot of he said, she said type shit. Like, and who knows where they came from? You know, what if the DA is just pulling on strings, trying to get this man locked up? That's a lot of people.
Well, this is a Rolling Stones article that that the DA is picking up on, and wound up contacting all these 40 individuals and talking to these 2 ex-girlfriends, because Rolling Stones went out of their way to figure out where these individuals started coming out of, you know, because they you remember when this news first broke, 2 people came out on Twitter that, you know, didn't have any backing, barely had any following, but they went to school with him, talked about abuse, and now we got 40 Yale students plus 2 ex-girlfriends saying everything about him was just emotional abuse. Like, what were you doing on stage, my man? Like, like, were you actually playing the role? Like, I'm not sure. Like I said,
I don't know.
Steps forward, steps back.
This one throws everything out the window.
That we're just saying. Yeah. That's why I wanted to let you finish.
Boo. I don't know.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Now I don't know. I don't have anything to say about this because I feel like this is just really bad at this point.
Well, and you're right. You're right. Some of these things are going to be hearsay. Some things are going to completely be dismissed. Like those, if those 2 ex-girlfriends don't have any actual proof, there's nothing they can do. It'd be hearsay. There would be no way
that can be proven.
Yeah, exactly. Unless they got text messages from, I don't even know, maybe 3-4 years ago. I mean, girls keep receipts. It could happen. So I'm not going to say that it won't happen. But those 40 other people that came out that can testify, if 40 people can corroborate the story, that's enough to push a jury. I honestly believe if they can get 40 people to come up on that stand and say every little single detail that Jonathan Majors did to him, that is so damning. That 2 ex-girlfriends could be dismissed. Those 2 can probably go out the window. But those 40 individuals, if they go on stand and they say that shit on August 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 40 people is gonna take a few days to get their testimonies out. He is damned.
Damn, man.
Because I think those can push the two ex-girlfriends stories. If they can say, yeah, he put hands on people, he did all that stuff, they can be like, well, we gotta believe these girls because he put hands on so many other people. Mm-hmm. What makes you think that these two are an exception? 3.
Oh man, I don't know, dude. I don't know. This is really bad. This looks bad. Short win, and yeah, like they just keep fucking getting knocked back. It's his defense team is working hard.
Yeah, they're like counter. It's like, god damn, bro, they are trying.
They are going really like tough to win. But sounds like the DA working harder. 40 people? There's no way, dude. There's no way.
That is a lot.
That is a lot.
My man was on a fucking destructive path. He was on a rampage down the hallway, just stomping over people, just walking over people. I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. The whole Anthony Mackie thing, I get his heart's in the right place. So maybe that's why after he said those comments and they circulated, like when this news started breaking, a lot of people were like, yeah, no, you can't be saying shit like that. But innocent until proven guilty. These are just all accusations, and we have to wait and see what happens next. But this isn't looking good. That the tide is not turning for Majors, and I'm starting to understand why he didn't put out text messages like, we thought he should have and stuff like that. So, not very good.
Not very good at all.
Oh, dude, it looks so bad. It looks so bad. But we'll keep you guys.
All ass train wreck.
Yeah, man, we'll keep you guys updated. It's a shit show. It's a shit show for Majors. But on our last topic, just as a little palate cleanser, we already kind of figured, but, like I said, making waves. A lot of people are talking shit. Oh, boo-hoo, this movie's not getting a second sequel.
Suicide Squad.
So, the Suicide Squad 2 from James Gunn has always been a head scratcher. Nobody knows if there will be a sequel, anything like that. Michael Rosenbaum on his podcast that we talked about a few times it just seems like that podcast, like people just go back and listen to it to hate listen, and they just pick up something else and put it on Twitter to get mad about it. But we're here to talk about it, so might as well just bring it up. The Suicide Squad 2 is not in the works. Michael Rosenbaum tried prying it out of him during the interview, asking if there is any movement, and he basically says that Waller is the first, and Waller is a lot of the same people from Peacemaker. And then he asked him, so will there be a sequel to the Suicide Squad? And he basically says no. And it makes sense. This movie, as great as people praise it to be as a good comic book movie, one of the better DCEU movies, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's not coming from me. I'm just, the reviews that I've heard about it. It has a good Rotten Tomato score.
Man, it's coming from him. He's a fan.
Oh, shut up. I enjoy it. It has a good Rotten Tomato score, good audience score. People enjoy this movie. So a lot of people are probably clamoring, where is the sequel going to be? But due to COVID, it was not a financial success. Box office was shitty. I think it became part of the $100 million loss club. So it was bad because of the time that it was in. Like I said, if it wasn't during the pandemic, who knows where it would have been. I honestly personally think it would have probably made like that $600 million, $700 million mark. But a lot of people like to say, no, it would have done $1 billion. I wouldn't have done $1 billion. There's no fucking way in hell. But yeah, I think he already said too that we're gonna see a lot of familiar faces in Waller when he made that announcement and stuff. So, what do you think? Are you clamoring for a Suicide Squad episode 2? Are you happy, sad about this news?
2. Is
this heartbreaking for you to hear?
No, I don't really. No, I didn't really care for the Suicide Squad. I'm not expecting a second movie because he's supposed to start from fresh. And if he makes a second one, he's going to have to connect it. And then
it's just going to be
this whole other thing, which doesn't make much sense timeline-wise, especially if he is trying to start anew. What he does with Waller, that's a whole nother thing too, because he is tying that to Peacemaker, so I guess Peacemaker is part of the DCU, but then again, that would mean his Suicide Squad is part of the DCU too.
It would be canon.
I don't know. Big ass fucking mess. He should have just restarted from the beginning. No cherry pickings. But no.
Unless he builds off the Suicide Squad and basically says, like, oh, that whatever happened in the first one doesn't matter regardless because this movie was taking place in a different universe regardless kind of thing. You know what I mean? And basically just introduce new characters in the world of the Suicide Squad.
I don't know, dude. I think that would be more confusing.
It'd make, yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, he killed off older characters that, you know, in the older Suicide Squad would have basically survived and made it out alive. We didn't even see Katana. So he can easily be like, well, Katana was there. It's just none of the events of the first Suicide Squad happened or whatever because it was in a different universe altogether.
I don't know. That's a lot of hoop jumping for me.
Well,
either way, I'm not vibing with it.
It
I
is
not vibe with the second Suicide Squad.
It is, and it would be very risky. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, damn, he's really trying hard to, you know, avoid this landmine, but he's still gonna trip something regardless." So,
no, but yeah, I didn't care for the first one. Kind of don't care that the second one isn't happening.
You care about the Peacemaker season 2?
No.
You care about the Waller?
I actually got really excited when I heard he was delaying that shit. He was like, "Oh no, it's gonna have to be put on hold after Superman Legacy. I'll go back to it."
Oh, guys, just hold. Hey, he drank his Haterade this morning. That's what happened. He drank it.
No.
He drank it. You hear that bottle he's crunching? That's his Haterade bottle.
It's water, but
time it crunches.
It's more of like a. Damn, why don't you shut up and let me finish the thought? But fuck, you made me lose my train of thought.
I'm gonna let you finish it.
No, I can't.
No, finish it.
Okay. Let me find it again. Sorry, guys. It's his fault. I was excited to hear that Peacemaker season 2 was pushed back because he was working on Superman. Just because I didn't like that show at all, and like low key, the hater of me was like, "Good. If I don't get what I want, you fuckers don't deserve whatever it is you guys aren't getting."
I mean, are doing them a favor though? Are we not doing them a favor? I mean, the first Peacemaker season was not that good. It had some shiny moments, but just all that. If season 2 can fix that over excessive, like using the word fuck, acting like a dumbass, and then trying to make us take him seriously when he does something badass. Like if they can fix all that, fine. I'm on board for season 2. Season 1. It was just too fucking stupid. I mean, there was some edgy things. Oh, Peacemaker was fighting this bitch and her titties were out. Oh, I'm edgy. No, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about. I need to see some bitch fucking fighting with her titties out. I don't give a fuck. That's weird.
What's that clip that goes around where he's like randomly listing famous people, and people are like, "Oh, this is so funny," and I'm like, "Dog, this sounds ridiculous. This sounds dumb."
Oh my god, that was so dumb. That was the one where it was like, I forgot the joke, but it was just basically about like, all the people that are weirdos or some shit like that. So he just named all these people, and then he threw in James Gunn's name, and everybody was like, "Oh, fuck is that James Gunn's name?" It's like, oh, dude, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about meta shit from Peacemaker.
He's not fucking funny,
dude.
This show.
I like John Cena though. Make no mistake, I enjoy John Cena. It's just more like the show itself was just not good.
The show is ass.
I will say too, the dude that plays the in Guardians 3, the dude that plays the Rocket's master or whatever, I forget his name. It's a crazy name.
Yeah, no.
But I think he does good in that show. I like him. I think he's a highlight of it, and I think not hardcore. I don't really like hardcore. And that's not just because she's married to him, but like more like she's not an experienced actor, so how is she, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. Suicide Squad 2.
Are you disappointed?
Am I disappointed?
No, I mean, like the people. Are you guys disappointed that you guys aren't getting a Suicide Squad 2 for some reason?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know. I don't know if anybody was clamoring about it. And then on top of that, you got to think, why make another Suicide Squad movie when we tried so hard to get people to forget the first one? You know what I mean? So it's like, why even go and try to drink out that well again?
Yeah, doesn't make much sense. And even then, you can't, like, Waller sounds like a solid show, but if it's gonna have people I didn't like from Peacemaker in it, I'm not gonna fuck with it.
Like I said, I'm hoping that he figures out that. I hope that he understood that there's a certain tone and a balance that needs to happen. So, like, the Suicide Squad, it was goofy, but at the same time, there was sort of a balance. Now, it wasn't like, obviously, we put the Man of Steel and all of them in a different bracket, but if I were to say, I think the Suicide Squad was more enjoyable than, like, the humor that we were getting in, like, Thor, Love and Thunder and stuff like that. And, like, in, what was the other one that we got? In Multiverse of Madness, too. I would say that, like, the extra gore that came out of, I think there's that recipe in there that he can extrapolate from the movie that he made, get all the goods and throw away the bads that people basically hated. Same thing with Peacemaker, get all the good that came out of it. Because I'm not saying Peacemaker was a terrible show.
I am.
Okay, shut up.
That shit was ass.
I didn't ask you.
No. Garbage show.
Did I ask you?
Garbage.
Did I ask you?
I don't care.
Did I ask you?
I don't care.
All right. Let me finish my thought now.
No, garbage.
Oh. Well, the Peacemaker, he could extrapolate some good things and make it. I mean, you can't say that the kills in those movies were not good. In the movies and in the show.
Oh, in the Suicide Squad?
In the Suicide Squad and in Peacemaker. You can't say the kills weren't crazy. Because they did go hard. Like, that scene where they're in the water and the shark rips them apart. And that shit just, like, you see all the insides happen. When the shark rips his head off, I thought that was pretty cool. That scene where John Cena and him were shooting each other and the bullet goes through his other bullet and shoots him in the neck or whatever and puts him in a spin-off. I thought that was pretty cool. I think in the Peacemaker show, the scene, well, I know I talk shit about, seeing the girl fighting with her titties out, but the same girl that explodes in the middle of the parking lot, I thought that was pretty cool, So there is some good things to come out of it. And I know a lot of people have a lot of discrepancies with the ending, with the Justice League coming in, but you got to give him props that he at least made it happen. At least made it happen. As much as you hate the fact that it happened, you got to at least give him props that he got it done. Like, he was able to do that. No. Oh.
That shit made me
I'm not a hater. I give credit where the credit's due.
No. That shit was ass. The show was ass, and they couldn't even redeem it with with the fucking Justice League because 3 of those motherfuckers were shadows, and they still made the joke about Aquaman fucking fish. Nope. They can kiss my ass. That show was garbage. I'm glad you guys aren't getting a season 2 anytime soon.
You know what? Hearing the Flash come in anywhere, bro, is always the best. That noise when he made when Peacemaker's like walking out,
popcorn crackling.
Yeah, you just hear the, and then boom, there he is. It's like, yeah, no, that's cool. I don't even care what you say.
It's like breaking the sound barrier.
Yeah, it's fucking sick. You can't say that it's not. Say that it's not.
That was a James Gunn thing. That was a Zack Snyder thing, though.
Okay, but it's good, and he utilized.
That's the one. You're telling me that piece redeems everything else? No, it doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't.
Not for you?
No.
Oh, I don't know. What about you guys out there? You're getting a little hostile, so I'm gonna end this episode right. You guys can't see it, but he got the knife out now. With that being said, though. That's going to be our last topic. If there's anything that we missed, any movies that you guys want us to review, something that we should have said but we didn't, you guys want to holler at us, tell us anything, give us a topic to talk about. You guys want to support us in a big way, Josh, let them know where they can let us know.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. We post when new episodes are up. You can hit us up there. Listen to us on the go, Spotify and Apple Podcast at FilmBros Podcast. Subscribe to our Buzzsprout. Once you do, you get special perks, get shout outs on episodes. So why wouldn't you want to do that? Everyone likes perks. Not the drugs, but you know what I mean. When that's all said and done, subscribe to our YouTube at FilmBros Podcast.
And with that being said, we will talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.